We are the Devil's Puck Luck Podcast, where, of course, we are your hosts. Over here, Adam Armbrecht, breaking down the Brooklyn Nets on their playoff journey on the Locked On Nets podcast and the Locked On Nets podcast. Okay. Sometimes they lack what they need to be locked in on.
Fair.
Also, the New York Football Giants on the One Giant podcast with the draft looming. And right here along my side is your friend, my cousin, and 20-year ticket holder for the New Jersey Devils, Danny McDonough.
Devils, man, we're coming down to the wire now.
Did you forget where you were for a second?
I forgot where I was. We're a beautiful day, so we're doing this outside. Yeah. That's why I'm wearing my sunglasses. I rarely do that. You know, you tend to sometimes have the sunglasses on inside.
At night.
We'll talk about it another time.
Sure.
But no, it's awesome. 2 games left. You know, we got a chance, what I've been talking about for the last 3 weeks, that the Devils could catch that number 1 spot. Right now, tonight, all I'm worried about is getting the 2 points and clinching home ice for the first round against, at minimum, the Rangers. And listen, maybe catching the Canes. We're 1 point behind them. It's possible.
And then also the Rangers in the last couple of games as well. Things have broke the right way for the Devils to be able to win tonight and solidify that home ice advantage. What was it, Rangers overtime against, who did they play?
They lost in a shootout to Buffalo last night.
Yeah, went all the way through it. I was worried listening to it on the radio because I think the first 2 frames of the shootout went blank both ways.
Yes.
And it just, I was like, I had the bad feeling of the Rangers achieving something and putting more pressure on the Devils.
It was the 4th, actually, round of the shootout where they both scored. Yeah, so that was a good game, too. I mean, Buffalo came back to tie it, 2-2, which was great. And then you were hoping they would win in regulation. So right then and there, we'd, be closer to clinching that spot and getting that spot. But all we need tonight is 1 point. I don't want to lose in overtime, obviously. But if we did, we would clinch that number 2 spot at minimum, and we'd have home ice.
Broad conversation here, obviously. Last week, essentially what happened, my friends, is I needed to collect myself for what's going to be a very hectic run here over the next month, potentially, with all the different work that I'm doing across 3 different sports with all kinds of occasions going on.
You're a busy guy.
I try to be, but you also try to be dedicated to what we want to do here. What were your takeaways, just briefly, because I think this is going to be evergreen. It'll go out before the game. We'll give our predictions, but there's a lot of things to cover here that lead up to the playoff run for the Devils. What were your takeaways, just briefly, from the Bruins matchup the other night, where I think fans were maybe disappointed, maybe not? I walked away from it saying, hey, you lost a 2-1 game. You kept the Bruins, a low-scoring matchup. That, to me, was a great footprint to put out there and say, we can play with them.
And it's also good because Mackenzie Blackwood had a great game.
Yes.
He played really well.
Maybe the most important takeaway, arguably, in that game.
Yeah, I think it is the most important takeaway. But more importantly is the Devils continue to push in that game and continue to show that they can score against good teams. We just didn't finish.
Yeah.
We had so many opportunities that we could have scored. You're not going to see as many chances against the Bruins. Their penalty kill is phenomenal, number 1 in the league for a reason. And guys like Pasternak, who now has 60 goals, it's unbelievable to see these types of players and what they're doing. It's unbelievable. Him and McDavid this year with 60 goals. But Boston's a phenomenal team. They just got the record for most wins ever in a season. They're going to be a juggernaut in the playoffs. It's going to be difficult for anybody to beat them, but anybody in the East can beat them. We talk about, basically a team getting hot, a goaltender getting hot. Hopefully Vitek gets hot and we can carry us to the Stanley Cup. But to answer your question, I wasn't disappointed at all against Boston. What I am worried about is Mikey McLeod. Hopefully it's not a serious injury. He's not going to play tonight. It looks like Lazar is going to jump into the lineup. But if he has a concussion, we didn't even know if he existed. But
more of a rumor than a player.
It's scary with McLeod because he's 3rd in the league in face-off percentage. And if we lose him for an extended period of time, especially in the playoffs, it's going to be a problem, because he's out there in the most important face-off moments, Haula being right behind him. But it's a concern. We just got to see what's going to happen.
Hey, do me a favor, man. Move away from me a little bit.
Why, I'm a little... Oh.
It's not even... that feels better. No, I don't like that, but I like it better there. And, let's not get into that there. You mentioned the playoff, the face-off matchups, excuse me. That's why it's so critical, because the Devils don't necessarily... They're not deep in that category. And not that a lot of teams are, but McLeod is so critical in that. We've seen over the back end of the season here where Lindy was specifically putting in McLeod just to win a face-off and then get him off the ice. So you want to be able to have that skill set there. You mentioned Lazar. We know that we're looking at you had already gone over a couple episodes ago, your desire to stop seeing too many defensemen being included inside of the rotations for the Devils. But there is another defenseman that will be joining the Devils for their playoff run. Luke Hughes.
Hughes is playing. I love that he's playing tonight. I love that Lindy's putting him
in the taste.
Yeah, it's great. We're debating back and forth if he plays well tonight, is he going to be a staple in the playoffs, and is he going to be, one of the top 6 defensemen that are going to play? I don't think so. I think that Luke Hughes just needs to get a taste of the NHL. I think that you have your solid 6 defensemen that are going to play in the playoffs. But I'm so excited to see him, and the fact that he's playing with his brother tonight, that has to be such a great feeling for this kid. And hey, maybe one day, maybe Quinn Hughes will come to the Devils. You never know. Right?
Try to get them all. Yeah, let's get
having all 3 brothers. You never know, right?
And they talked about it too. I thought it was interesting when Ruff talks about Luke Hughes and making his debut and transitioning, coming from the Frozen Four and then joining the NHL. I mean, literally, this guy's gone from 1 week being a college hockey player to now being in an NHL team. He said the pace, the play, the physicality, he's going to have to adjust to all these things. Ask Luke about it. He goes, I think my experience in college really prepared me for the pace, the style of the play. So it's just funny to hear the way 2 different, sides will talk about it. You expect it from the organization. You expect the confidence from Luke. The other thing that I really liked was when they asked Jack about it, it was, he's his own man. Like, he's his own player. This has nothing to do with me being here. He was drafted by the Devils because of the skill set that he has. They believe in him and what he can be capable of going forward. And when you talk about, what you think is going to happen in the playoffs, listen, I'm always a pro young player guy. I'm not necessarily a pro guy coming from college and then saying, hey, ready for a deep playoff run? But I do just think that there's been enough instances, whether injury or otherwise, where you've needed something different. And while I wouldn't necessarily agree with the premise of maybe going a little bit deeper in the defensive rotations, maybe having too many players, maybe tinkering with the lineups too much, because we've seen Lindy be willing to do that, it's hard for me to eliminate the possibility that Luke finds his way into that process.
Well, no, of course. And if someone struggles mightily, game 1 or 2 in the playoffs,
and you need a spark, yes.
Yeah, and you need a spark, it could happen. It's playoffs are a different animal, right? People are going to come in and they're going to, all the Devils players, we don't have much experience in the playoffs at all.
I've heard about
as a team. There was a stat, I forget what the specific stat was actually. I think it was the amount of games played in playoff series. It was like 150, and Pasternak had that already. Right. Something crazy like that. But it's kind of funny thinking about it because this is an all new experience for these guys.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to us overachieving and being a year or 2 ahead of where we should be. So at the end of the day, let's say, I don't know, I don't think it'll happen, but let's say Ball struggles mightily in his first 2 games, just terrible games in his first 2 playoff games. Then maybe you put Luke Hughes in, and you see what he can do to spark the team, even if we're winning the games, even if the series is tied 1-1 and you see a glaring weakness on defense, maybe they do it. But to your point, this is why you implement those young kids into these moments to see what they can do. And like you said, Ruff is continually shuffling lines. So you don't know what you're going to get. But
ironically, not to get far afield, but I'll tie it into the Brooklyn Nets, who have David Duke Jr. on their roster. He's been with the team for a few years. They converted his contract to a standard contract, so it means he gets to go to the playoffs with the team. He closed out the season finale for the Nets where they didn't play any of their starters. You don't expect him to play in the playoffs, but maybe a moment arises where you feel like you can use him. And in hockey especially, I think like all of a sudden maybe you run a couple of long shifts and you need someone just to give you a filler spot there. I'll just be interested to see how it goes.
Yeah, I just don't want to see 11-7. That's kind of what worries me a little bit is I don't want to go back to that type of rotation. We'll see what Bastian's going to do. He hasn't been in a few games. I think the BMW line, like we always have talked about, is super important in the playoffs. Now that McLeod is out, we're going to see what's going to go on for the playoffs, see if he gets healthy, see if he's going to be playing. There's a lot of question marks, but I think obviously that the top 3 lines are kind of solidified, and that 4th line we're going to kind of jumble some people around until we see what's going on with Bastian McLeod.
You will be there tonight for the game against the Sabres. The
bobblehead night.
Yeah,
don't worry. We'll probably have one like behind us when we do it.
Dougie Hamilton, baby.
I know.
The Dougie Hamilton bobblehead night, which is always fun. But then this is also the closeout. It's a fan appreciation night, so there'll be some other things going on at the arena if you're attending the game. And this will be the closeout for the regular season. Just to encapsulate it, regardless of what happens in this game, when you look back at it, I saw some things specifically on Twitter talking about, well, it's practically a home game anyway, right? When you play in New Jersey. What has been, for someone who's attended the bulk of the home games this year, what has been the vibe to you at the arena? Do you think that there's something there that the Devils can pull on and that the fan base can pull on? going into the playoffs and saying like, hey, like you want to talk a little bit of S about, listen, New Jersey does not have a lot of teams that both play here and carry the title of New Jersey in front of their name.
You know what's great is Justin from Devils Fanatics posted a great stat. I think it was 77% attendance from last year. Now it is 92% almost, which is great to see. And that's what comes along with winning, right? Yeah. It's this young core. It is so awesome to see the way they play. You know, they're fast, they're fun, they're exciting. But now you can kind of see that
they're sounding the horn at the arena.
They're ready to go.
Yeah.
But now you can see that this team is going to be phenomenal for years to come. Yeah. And I think the excitement at the Rock shows so much. You know, we've seen some pretty bad moments by fans. The day before Thanksgiving
was there for that.
Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, seen people throw stuff onto the ice in that horrific Toronto game. We won't get into that. But you know, it's just the casual fan, the casual Devil fan, the casual NHL fan, you know, to be able to enjoy this team, come along for the ride. Tonight, Jack Hughes, I think, is going to break the record, Eliash's record for most points in a season. I could see him having 2 points. Maybe he'll go into that last game only needing 2 points to get to 100, which is going to be awesome, which is what you predicted.
I called for it, man.
Yeah, and not only that, if we win both these games, we're going to beat our most points ever. So, you know,
still a lot of things to achieve.
There's a lot of things going on that we could achieve, but the fact that we're going into our 81st game with 108 points is incredible.
We are going to, of course, come in after this game, after the season concludes, reflect a little bit more on some of the records that are being broken from a franchise standpoint, both as a team and then individuals like Jack Hughes. We'll see what sample size do we get from Luke in this game and then in the final game of the season, which will be on the road, that just gives you some sample size of what he looks like at the NHL level. Absolutely. You can always go back and watch guys at the college level, but until you see it at the pros, you know, you want that confirmation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, too. It's like everybody could say, oh, well, we just played in the Frozen Four, so he's going to have that kind of playoff atmosphere feel, so to speak, going into the NHL. It's a
guys are 2 inches taller, 30 pounds heavier.
Yeah, it's a completely different league and a completely different environment. It's awesome to have that hunger and that competitive attitude, obviously, from Luke Hughes. You know, and see Miss Casey, obviously, too, who was playing in the Frozen Four. So, you know, just knowing that you have that energy, that grit, that you're going into every single shift is a grinded out type of shift, and that everything that you do on every single shift is super important down the stretch like this. So,
frankly, man, learn a lesson from watching your brother at times, right? Like watching anybody on the Devils. We've talked about it. Like, hey, those mistakes you make, especially in the neutral zone, get absolutely magnified on the NHL stage. So it's going to be fun. It's a great debut for Luke. Hopefully it's a win for the Devils because there are still things to achieve here. And then ultimately, man, it's turning our attention to the playoffs. So we won't belabor the point here. You have the Devils winning this game. I would assume they are minus 240, I think. No, more than that.
Or something like that.
It went up, though.
See, listen, Buffalo is hungry. They're not out of the playoff race yet. You know, it's getting...
over under at 7.
Yeah, winning that game last night against the Rangers. They're not out of the playoffs. They got to win all their games. They have one game in hand, you know, when it comes to the Penguins. Florida and the Islanders both have one game remaining. Right now, the way it's shaken out, it looks like Pittsburgh, because they have the easiest schedule down the road, are going to basically be that first wild card spot that's going to play either the Canes or the Devils, whoever get that number 1 seed.
Yeah.
So,
and you want them. You want the one.
I prefer Pittsburgh over playing the Rangers. You know, I think that, you know, we go back to McLeod potentially not being around for the playoffs, which is a terrifying thought because the Rangers and Devils are very equally matched.
Yeah.
They're two teams that are right there with each other, and that's going to be a crazy series. That's going to be a aggressive series. That's going to be grinded out type of series where you can see 3 overtime games, in my opinion. So it goes back to McLeod being very important as a faceoff guy. Yeah, but I want Pittsburgh. Wouldn't you rather have Pittsburgh? I mean, I know they're the veteran team. I know they have a lot of veterans on the team, but wouldn't you rather have Pittsburgh
a little bit older, like veteran, and then going the other way, not necessarily on the ascension, or a team like the Rangers who added veteran talent to only bolster what they are? Yeah, I think you would. I think it'll be funny. It'll be interesting for me, I'll say, to listen to Devils fans if you get the number 1 seed and you get the Penguins in the first round and you get that first round series win, and then you go up against whoever it may be. You end up losing to the Rangers ultimately in the playoffs at whatever point. And then to go, well, that's why it doesn't matter. Because guess what? If you listen to this podcast, you're going to get a lot of that thrown directly right back into your face because it doesn't matter. You match up who you match up against. Playoff series wins matter. Experience matters for this young team. Dan keeps mentioning it. This is a team that's overachieving in terms of timeline. So every single game you play in the playoffs is another huge experience for this team. And even if you're on the bench, a huge experience for a guy like Luke Hughes, who, by the way, it rhymes with like Jacques Hughes. And I don't know where that's going to go, but if you listen to the show, we're going to work that in somehow.
Are you going to have like a new tagline since, you were upset with Graves for a little bit.
He came back,
but then he came back and he's playing well.
He came back around.
It's oh, by the way, I don't know who's going to be scratched tonight. I'm sure Amanda Stein and other Devils reporters might have kind of had some insight while we're recording this on who is going to be sitting. Is it going to be 11-7? I don't think so. Do you think it's going to be 11 forwards and 7 defensemen now that McLeod's going to be out tonight?
You would no.
McLeod's going to be out, so
right, but I guess
I hope not. With Lazar coming in, I hope not. But at the end of the day,
who do we want to see out of it now?
Well, it's going to be maintenance day. I think it could be someone like Hamilton was sick, so he was sick for a few days. Maybe he gets the night off. But this is a very important game, obviously, too.
But again, Luke, you have Luke.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Sure.
Now, to your point about we're recycling this conversation around Luke because I am excited just to see him play at the NHL level and put on a New Jersey Devils jersey for the first time in his career, in his young career. But with all of the factors, sick, you got a guy hurt, why not go ahead and say, listen, and by the way,
I agree.
At least catch him on the roll of you're coming off playing intense hockey, not the same level, but it's as intense a hockey as you could have played before joining this team. And even though my only hesitation is there is a lot to play for here.
Oh, absolutely.
So you don't want to put him out and overexpose him. But let's close out on this. Do you want Luke to get early run, or do you want Lindy to pick the spot for Luke?
What do you mean?
Because I would want to see Luke get thrown to the wolves, so to speak, early in this game and say, sink or swim. If it looks good, we're going to use you all night. If it looks like you're struggling, we can pull you back. I'd rather do that than wait for a spot in the game where you want to insert him. And then
I would like to see him be in the starting lineup as on the ice tonight. I want to see him announced by Adam Henningway, the amazing announcer, PA announcer at the Devils at the Rock. But it'd be great just because I think that energy and that anxiousness that Luke is going to have, just throw him right into the fire.
Yeah.
He's going to be probably a third pairing tonight. He's not going to get as many minutes as obviously, our regular guys. But he is going to be our regular guy. Next year he's going to be in the starting lineup. He's just going to be a part of this team. He has a 3-year entry-level deal. You're going to see him be a staple of this Devils organization. And at the end of the day, how he plays is going to obviously be contingent on who we're going to sign as well. We'll talk about that more in the offseason, with Graves and Severson and the other free agents too. So there's a lot that rides on playing him in Buffalo as well. It's not as physical a team where it's going to be more difficult against the boards. Listen, any NHL team is going to be difficult jumping into, but I think this is a good lineup against the Sabres for him to face off against with a lot of offense. He's going to have to defend really well against the Tage Thompsons, against these lines that are going to fly. And Buffalo still has something to play for, so they're going to come out swinging. They're going to come out fast like they did against the Rangers, so we got to be prepared for that. And I think throwing Luke Hughes in like this, like you're mentioning, this is what you got to do. Lindy Ruff's getting it right. I agree with Lindy Ruff here to play him on home ice, put him right in the starting 5 tonight, let his name get announced, get that excitement throughout the crowd. It's going to be awesome.
You will not accuse if you Luke Hughes. You see what I'm saying, guys? It's right.
Did you have that prepared?
No, buddy.
By the way, guys,
it's all off.
So we tried to record at the last home game.
Oh yeah, In addition to gearing back up for the playoff push and everything else, we should expose the fact that we went to the last home game together. We recorded segments in between the first period, the second period, and then we also recorded in the post game there. The first 2 were classics. You would have loved every bit of that content. However, the third one was a bit of a mess because we were doing it leaving the arena.
Yeah.
There were a lot of variables there. So unfortunately, we had to scrap that and didn't bother maybe to alert people to what went on.
Yeah, what's funny too is a lot of people were hitting us up, DMing us on Instagram too. And it was like, oh yeah, sorry about that. Oh, what you guys, what's going on here? It's been 6 days. So this has been a little lull for us, since we started in 2 months. So thank you guys for worrying. We're still here. We're doing different atmosphere today outside. Yeah. Beautiful day. Everybody's enjoying the weather. So, listen, I think we're going to get this win tonight. I think we're going to solidify the home ice in the first round.
Yeah, I got 5-2.
I like that.
Yeah.
I got 4-3. I think this is going to be a good
Well, you're
game.
wrong, but it's always good to put out your predictions.
I like the 7 goals, though. I think there's going to be 7 goals.
Oh, that's a push on over-under.
It is a push. I think that Vegas knows what they're talking about when it comes to that.
I came very close to one. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, guys. You can't do it on any of the betting sites because they're not going to put his name in lights here. But I like the Luke Hughes defensive goal. You know what I mean? With an assist from Jack. Why not have some fun in a family debut?
How dope would that be tonight to see Luke Hughes with the primary assist to Jack Hughes?
That's what I mean. Why not?
Let's talk a little bit about, before we end up here today. Let's talk a little about...
I was ready to go.
I want your opinion on the Marchand hit on McLeod. Now, a lot of people, because his nickname is the Rat, he's clearly dirty. He's had dirty plays in his past. On the ice, in my opinion, that is a penalty for contact to the head. It's a 2-minute minor. I don't think he had the intent, even though it is the Rat and he's a POS. I don't think he had the intent to go after McLeod to injure him. Yeah,
he's a point of sale.
I don't think he had the intent to injure him. However, that is a 2-minute minor. Do you think it was a dirty play? Do you think there was intent there at all?
I don't. I understand why fans react that way because, by the way, once you get a reputation, it follows you, as it should. So you don't get is the benefit of the doubt, right?
Right.
Things happen very quickly on the ice. I think when you go back and you rewatch it, the combination of just how McLeod is carrying himself and when the hit comes, it ends up looking more malicious than it actually, I think, was in the moment.
Agreed.
Doesn't change the fact that it's scary. Doesn't change the fact that McLeod could be injured, which is only going to further make the fan base irate about it. But no, I think one of the things that I think has changed in a really great way is that they've taken a lot of that risk out of hockey, right? Yeah. They wanted to mitigate that with the rules changes and then just the style of play. It's been fantastic for the game. I think it does then further highlight when one of those plays happens, right? You're more heightened to it because you've seen that so few and far between that you don't want to see it go that way. And you still want physicality in hockey, so I think that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Sometimes.
And one of the reasons why I don't want fighting to ever leave the game is I think you're going to see more hits like that. I think you're going to see more aggressive hits, more borderline hits.
No, I think striking that balance is important about letting them,
important.
Police themselves in that way.
I'm with you. I don't think it was a crazy dirty hit or anything. I think it was a borderline type of hit that I think Marchand could have held up a little bit. The way McLeod kind of turned, the puck was there. It wasn't an interference penalty. It was incidental contact to the head, which is a penalty. That's a 2-minute minor.
Yeah.
If that's the rule, it should have been a penalty. However, the Devils didn't do anything on their power play against the best penalty kill in the league. Who knows what happened?
And by the way, that's what you're supposed to do is punish, again, dirty, clean, whatever, could have pulled up. And by the way, just an overall NHL theme of, hey, could you have pulled up? Yes, but I'm not going to hold it against the guy if he does not hold up, because then you're talking about, it was related to NFL. If you try to hold up on a play, that's how you end up getting hurt. It's not the same in hockey, but again, I'm not going to hold that against the player, even if I do think that he's dirty overall in his career.
I can't stand
exactly. This isn't my referendum or defending him, but in this moment, but you have to punish him for it. Yeah. That's what you're supposed to do. Punish them by going out on the power play, putting it in the back of the net and saying, hey, guess what? You want to hit us dirty? We're going to stick up for our guy. We're going to get into those scrums when necessary.
Well, Timo did that. Timo did that against Pastrnak.
100%.
With time expiring right there. I love that hit against Pasta in the boards, in the game, and that little scrum that ensued. But that's the point. That's why we have Timo, too. He's going to be that gritty, that bull type of guy that's going to have a big hit. And listen, he took one of their players right to the ground, to the ice, which is great to see. It was a legal check too. So I loved seeing it. I hated seeing McLeod get hurt. And I was watching the end of the game with my dad. I went to the Mets game on Saturday too, which was a great atmosphere. Mets, let's go Mets. But he's a Yankee fan. But it was great to see the fact that Timo did that at the end of the game. I think that it was necessary for the Devils, for his teammates, to show that one of our guys went down, borderline hit. No one really knew because they didn't see the replay then. What happened.
But the reaction should always be that way from teammates.
Always should be that, and listen, I was with my dad. I was screaming and cursing at the TV because it was Marchand that hit someone, and you see McLeod go down like that, which looked like it was a head injury. So you're upset as a fan. I'm screaming, cursing, going crazy. At the end of the day, looking at the replay,
no self-control.
Looking at the replay, I don't think there was intent to injure there. I don't think it was an egregious 5-minute major or anything like that. I think it's a 2-minute penalty that was missed by the refs, and that's that, and you move on from it.
And by the way, the message that Timo sends with that at the end of the game is not about that game. It's about the games going forward. It's about the playoffs.
Yeah.
We are going to be sticking up for our guys. You're not going to come in, play physical against us, and not have retaliation, not have a response. And I don't mean dirty hit for dirty hit or borderline for borderline. I just mean we're going to come back and play physically with you. And Timo specifically does need to be a part of that process for this team because a lot of the other offensive weapons are not built that way. Jack Hughes is not built that way.
However, you're starting to see Nico. You're starting to see our captain throw his weight around a little and not take any crap from anybody. I love seeing it. He did it against Boston too. So, we go back to 3-4 weeks ago when we're talking about how I'm worried about a team like Florida, a team like the Islanders playing in the playoffs. Because we're not showing that physicality that we were. We've been showing it the last 3 weeks. I think that these guys know that there's a lot on the line, and one of the Devils' weaknesses was the neutral zone trap by veteran teams, getting clogged up in the neutral zone, not being physical in front of our net, not being physical behind our net, and we're showing that a lot more now. And we're not taking crap from these, the bigger guys on other teams.
And in a lot of ways, I think that the final stretch of the season where teams are vying for playoff positions has brought that out of the Devils,
Absolutely.
right? Because teams are ramping up into playoff mode here, trying to make that wild card position, trying to move up the standings from a 3 to a 2 seed. So it's, it's a fight or flight response.
Yeah.
Are you going to fight in the face of that, or are you going to maybe shell in a little bit and try to go even further into your finesse style of play, which, when it comes to playoff hockey, if you could outskate them, great, but there's just going to be times when you get caught, and you got to be willing to and capable of showing that you can do that. So,
let's do a couple predictions. Let's do a couple predictions.
Predict it.
Okay? So tonight, you saying 5-2 Devils win?
Yeah.
Do they win in Washington on Thursday?
Yeah.
I think so, too.
Yeah, I know Washington's still kind of
I think
something.
I mean, they smacked the Islanders yesterday, the Capitals. So I think the same thing. I think the Devils are going to win their last 2 games, and I think
they check all the boxes of achievements for the franchise, for the team, as this season concludes, because in some ways, I think that is important to them. They're not talking about it, but that's important to them to cap off what has been such a good season, a great season, in a great way. Check the box for Jack. Check the box for franchise achievements. And then pivot your energy into the playoffs, of course, but there's a lot to accomplish here in the confines of the regular season.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest with you, they win the last 2 games. I don't care if we get the 1 or 2.
That plays how it plays out.
We're taking care of our business. You know what I mean? We're going to play the Rangers. We're going to play Pittsburgh, Florida, Islanders, whoever it might be. I think it's just going to be great for this team to get in there with home ice in the first round, come out strong at the Rock in game 1 and 2. But first and foremost, let's take care of business tonight.
Yep.
Who do you got scoring some goals?
I'm gonna go for it, man. Luke to Jack. Let's have them meet up together on the ice. There's got to be some brother energy there where they know where they like the puck. They're on the ice together. Knock it off. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna go Damon Severson scoring a goal tonight.
That's not nearly as exciting as what I just said. Though you're not leaning into the process.
You know what's gonna happen? And we'll probably hear of this Damon Severson scratch as a man. Right.
You know I mean? Only go with guys are going to be on the ice. Yeah, I think that they'll combine there. I'm going to put Timo down for a goal in this game as well.
Okay.
I think it's important if you're going to get these wins. Let's start to get these wins in a fashion that tells you that some of these key players are going to be ready to really dial it up in the playoffs.
I'm going to go with Tatar scoring a goal
good.
tonight.
Yep.
I think he's going to get a dirty goal right in front of the net. I like Timo scoring as well, and I think Jack Hughes is going to have 2 points, goal and an assist, and he's going to be 2 points away from 100. And tonight is going to be awesome at the Rock, too, because we're going to get to see Jack Hughes being the all-time leading goal scorer for the Devils.
Going to be a fantastic game tonight.
Points.
Obviously, you get us over on YouTube. Support us. We didn't go anywhere. We just got confused about technology for an episode. That's all. We're going to be doing it all throughout the playoffs. We're going to be ramping up our coverage and content, more post-game reactions, whether we're together or watching it separately. We're going to try to get together for as many of these games. Danny's going to be at a ton of the playoff games. I'm going to be in there for a few of them as well. Get us over on social media, whether it's at the Devils Puck Luck over on social, on Instagram, whether it's at NJ Devils PL on Twitter, at Danny the Face, at Adam Armbrecht. The wind, the weather, the sounds of nature are all building up right now. So we leave you, of course, reminding everybody that no matter what happens, just like the man on the ice, it will all be great.